Are you looking for the best electric kettles? In this video, we will look at some of the 5 best electric kettles on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Fellow Stag EKG Electric Kettle. The Fellow Stag EKG is the gold standard of electric kettles. It's been a strategist favorite since it came out 6 years ago and has held that regard since, through multiple updates to our best gifts for tea lovers and coffee lovers roundups, and yet again when I set out to consult the experts for this piece. The Stag EKG is more expensive than most on this list, but not so much more expensive that the price lessened its ranking. It's marked down 20% for Amazon Prime Day right now. There's just too much praise surrounding it. It heats quickly and allows you to adjust the temperature setting in 1-degree increments, explains Jared Morrison, co-founder and co-CEO of Sightglass Coffee in San Francisco. It will even regulate and hold at your temp preference, which is super useful and convenient. Marco Suarez, one of the owners of Methodical Coffee in Greenville, South Carolina, mentions that it turns itself off as a safety feature after it's been left sitting for longer than an hour. Many called out the precise pouring ability it has thanks to the gooseneck spout. While that feature can be found in multiple models on this list, Fellow has optimized the flow so the water comes out at the perfect rate for pour over. In my testing, having a slower stream means that the water never splashes or overflows in the vessel I'm pouring into, and that I have maximum control if I ever need just a splash of hot water to deglaze a pan while cooking. I also find the angled handle makes it comfortable to hold and pour at the same time. Everyone I spoke to noted that it's the most attractive of any kettle on the market. For an object you're going to have sitting on your countertop day in and day out, there is no one else that really touches Fellow in terms of looks, says Suarez. The design is amazing, agrees Kyle Ramage, co-owner of Black & Amp, White Coffee Roasters in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's sturdy and it's eloquent. Finally, tea writer Sarah Shackett, who owns the copper version, one of 9 sophisticated styles, loves that it makes for a nice presentation if she's serving tea to a group. Fellow recently released the Stag EKG Pro, an updated version of the original that I've been using for the past several months. For an additional $30, it allows you to preset a certain temperature for a certain time, to hear a chime when the water is done, to select from determined temperatures for particular types of coffee brewing styles and teas, to change settings like altitude and language, and to connect to Wi-Fi to make sure it's always up to date with the latest improvements. You navigate all these options through the simple dial that sits on the kettle's base, a system I immediately found to be intuitive without even reading the directions. Otherwise, it has the same look, feel, and functionality as the original. At number 2. Bonavita Variable Temperature Electric Kettle. If you don't particularly care about design, several experts mention the Bonavita electric kettle as being just as operationally and technically impressive as the Stag EKG. It does all the same things, it's just less form-focused, says Ramage. But it's also less expensive. Indeed, you'll save $60, considering both models' regular prices, if you go this route without giving up the temperature precision and hold. In my own testing, I found the functions very intuitive. While the Stag operates via a nondescript dial and display screen, part of what makes it so sleek-looking, the Bonavita has clearly marked buttons on its base: power, a plus and minus to cycle through exact degrees, a hold, and one with preset temperatures for common drinks. It is simply a bit clearer and faster to operate than the original Stag. I also appreciate the comfortable handle and stainless steel body, which is easy to wipe down so it looks spotless. Strategist senior editor Chelsea Pang has been using hers daily for about 5 months and says she is most impressed by how quickly it gets hot, so much so that she doesn't even bother sitting down while she waits for the water to reach temperature. Ken Nye, owner of 9th Street Espresso, even thinks the Bonavita has a slight edge over the Stag EKG beyond the lower price. The larger capacity and faster flow rate are both helpful when using the kettle for things other than pour over coffee. At number 3. Balmuda the Kettle. While the Balmuda, maker of the very best steam toaster oven, comes in at a similar price point to the Stag, it might be a better choice for those who don't need or want a high-tech option. It's similarly nice to look at but has only a simple on-off switch. The water heats up very quickly, in about a minute, likely due to the fact that it holds slightly less than the other gooseneck models on this list, but it's still plenty big for a couple of mugs of tea at a time. The speed also means I can simply reheat as needed without worrying about temperature hold. The spout pours gently and evenly, the handle is comfortable to grip, and I particularly enjoy the light on the end of the handle that turns on when your water is heating and off and when it's done. Finally, it has a fitted, rounded base, as opposed to the wider square base of the Stag, so if you have limited counter space, this design choice can make a difference. At number 4. OXO Adjustable Temperature Kettle. McCarthy called out the OXO gooseneck as his personal favorite, and price-wise, it's just about the same as the Bonavita. But OXO also makes this larger version with a standard pour spout, equipped with the same base as the gooseneck. It allows for temperature adjustments down to the degree and holds that temperature for up to 30 minutes. Of course, the glass body allows you to see how much water is inside, and the overall design is quite sleek, harder to find, in my opinion, when it comes to the larger models. Finally, the silicone on the bottom of the kettle itself allows you to set it down on any surface without worrying about damage. At number 5. KitchenAid Electric Kettle. Recipe developer and content creator Sola El Whaley says this electric kettle looks enough like a stovetop model that one morning her mom, whom she gifted one to, was so sleepy, she literally put it on a burner and ruined it. Luckily, El Whaley has never done the same with her own in the 6 years she's owned it, but she does appreciate its old-timey retro vibes, along with its no bells and whistles functionality. While that means you can't see the water level and there's no temperature control, it perfectly suits El Whaley's main needs. Making tea, she's not fussy about exacting degrees, and using a bit of boiling water for cooking, whether deglazing a pan, finishing off undercooked rice, or giving a head start to water for potatoes or pasta.